Disabled man is mocked and laughed at in a crowded luxury restaurant. Customers record, staff stay silent, and no one steps in. Until a brave black girl rises from her table and fiercely defends him, unaware that the frail man she just protected is the father of the most powerful and feared Korean mafia boss. And by nightfall, everyone who humiliated him will learn exactly who they insulted. They saw an old man, frail, easy prey. They missed the eyes. Those eyes held entire wars, entire generations of brutal calculation, a legacy of blood and iron that could shatter kingdoms. A loud, boorish laugh cut through the restaurant's polite hum, a cruel, performative spectacle designed to humiliate, to diminish. This wasn't just about a spilled drink or a perceived slight. This was about the primal urge to assert dominance, to carve out a sliver of imagined superiority at another's expense. You felt it immediately, didn't you? That tightening in your gut, the instinctive recoil from such a raw, public act of unkindness. But the truth is, you're missing the point. The viral clip, the feel-good narrative that exploded across every feed, it's a smokescreen. It's a convenient, palatable lie we tell ourselves about justice and karma. This story, the real story, isn't some simplistic fable of good versus evil. No. It's a brutal dissection of the invisible ledger, the silent toll collected on every single soul entangled in this twisted dance of mistaken identity and righteous intervention. Every act, every judgment, every flicker of emotion, whether noble or vile, extracts a hidden tax, a psychic debt that will always, always be paid. Everything has a cost. Every hero, every villain, every bystander. This isn't just entertainment. It's a terrifying mirror reflecting the unseen prices we pay for our assumptions, our courage, even our simple existence. If you're tired of the manufactured narratives, if you crave the uncomfortable truth lurking beneath the obvious, then perhaps you understand why some stories demand to be peeled back, layer by agonizing layer. Because what transpired in that moment, when the insult landed like a physical blow, wasn't just about an elderly man being mocked. It was a cosmic trigger, pulling threads from disparate lives into a knot that would bind them, irrevocably. The aggressor, so confident in his petty tyranny, saw only a weak target, a non-entity. He couldn't fathom the tectonic plates shifting beneath his feet, the deep, dark currents of power he was about to disturb. His arrogance wasn't just a personality flaw. It was a psychological shield, a self-imposed blindness to the terrifying interconnectedness of consequence. He truly believed his world was contained, his actions inconsequential beyond the immediate gratification of his pathetic display. How naive, how utterly, catastrophically deluded. The universe, darling, doesn't care about your little bubble of self-importance. It simply processes transactions. It demands payment. Then she appeared, a young woman, a black girl, her posture radiating an indignant fire, stepping forward into the breach. She saw injustice. She felt the immediate burning compulsion to right a wrong. Her empathy was raw, unadulterated, a beautiful, terrifying force. What she didn't see, couldn't possibly comprehend in that electric instant, was the colossal, unseen weight she was about to shoulder. The burden of interfering with destiny, of disrupting a balance of power she knew absolutely nothing about. Her courage was profound, yes, undeniably, but it was also blind, utterly, gloriously blind. And that, my friends, is precisely where the hidden costs truly begin to accumulate. For every act of perceived heroism, there's an unforeseen karmic invoice. You think you're just standing up for someone? Perhaps. Or perhaps you're unwittingly stepping into a vortex of ancient feuds, silent pacts, and unspoken laws that could utterly devour you. This isn't a fairy tale. This is the cold, hard mechanics of human interaction under the microscope, where every single choice, no matter how pure its intention, carries a terrifying psychological weight that no one ever calculates in the moment. How could they? The human heart is a tempest, not a calculator. And that's its greatest strength and its most profound weakness. The human heart is a tempest, not a calculator. And that's its greatest strength and its most profound weakness. The heart, you see, it screams for justice. It demands righteousness. And in that roaring demand, it often misses the whispers of the truly powerful. It ignores the cold equations of self-interest, the ancient algorithms of control. You, watching this, probably cheer for her. You see a hero, a shining beacon. But what if heroism itself is just another blind spot, a convenient narrative we tell ourselves to justify meddling where we don't belong? This isn't about good versus evil in a comic book. This is about cause and effect. An elaborate game of dominoes set in motion centuries ago, long before her fiery spirit ever graced this earth. Her intervention? A mere flick of a finger against an avalanche already sliding. What she thought was a simple act of defiance against a bully was in reality a declaration of war against an entire ecosystem of established power dynamics. A brutal, silent war no one asked her to fight. Do you ever stop to consider the architecture of control that exists just beneath the surface of polite society? The subtle levers, the hidden alliances, the unspoken threats, they're everywhere. They govern everything, and they hate disruption. It's an allergic reaction. You disturb one thread and the entire tapestry unravels. You think the powerful just let things go? Never. Their retribution isn't loud. It's insidious. It's a slow, precise strangulation. If you're willing to confront uncomfortable truths, if you understand that the world isn't painted in simple black and white, then you truly belong here. Consider the man she defied. Was he just a petty tyrant? Or was he a small, crucial cog in a much larger machine? A gatekeeper, a messenger, maybe even a sacrificial lamb whose fall would trigger something far more devastating than his initial transgression. You see, the systems of power often create their own monsters, their own convenient villains. Precisely so, they can be dethroned dramatically, distracting everyone from the true puppet masters pulling the strings in the shadows. It's a classic misdirection, a sleight of hand. And she, in her magnificent, burning moral clarity, walked right into it. She became the instrument, the unwitting pawn. Ponder that for a moment. Her triumph, if you can even call it that, wasn't hers at all. It was a victory engineered by others, for purposes she couldn't even begin to imagine. Perhaps you think that's cynical. Perhaps you believe in pure, unadulterated good. I sincerely doubt it exists in its natural form, untainted by ulterior motives, especially not when genuine power is on the line. What she ignited wasn't a revolution. It was a carefully controlled explosion designed to clear the path for the next phase of someone else's agenda. And the cost? The price for her fleeting moment of righteous satisfaction? That's what haunts me. That's what should terrify you. Because the universe always balances the books. And the payment rarely falls on the one who caused the initial disturbance. No. It cascades, it spreads, it finds the weakest links, it targets the innocents caught in the crossfire. What follows is not for the faint of heart or those content with comforting lies. If you're prepared to stare into the abyss of true power dynamics, to see the unseen architects behind every heroic act, then continue this journey with me. Will she ever truly understand the dominoes she pushed, the lives she inadvertently altered, the silent agreements she shattered, the ancient grudges she reawakened? Probably not. The human mind is remarkably adept at rationalizing its own virtue. It creates a comfortable bubble of good intentions that insulate it from the actual brutal impact of its choices. But the world outside that bubble? It's a jungle, and her simple brave act just painted a target on the back of everyone connected to her, directly or indirectly. It's a cold calculus, devoid of emotion. Because the rabbit hole goes far deeper than you can possibly imagine. This isn't just about a woman and a bully. This is about the very fabric of reality, about how power truly operates, often through the very people who think they're fighting against it. This is about the very fabric of reality, about how power truly operates, often through the very people who think they're fighting against it. The true battle isn't fought with swords or speeches, it's fought in the shadows, with whispers and carefully placed dominoes. It's a psychological war. Always has been. The unwitting hero, the righteous spark, that's just bait, a distraction, a useful idiot, however noble their intentions. Consider the mechanism. A problem exists, a glaring, undeniable injustice. Then a solution emerges. A figure rises. This individual, often driven by a pure, almost naive sense of justice, takes a stand. They act, they push back, and the world cheers. But look closer. That problem? Was it truly organic, or was it meticulously cultivated? A ripe fruit, ready to be plucked, ready to provoke precisely this response. Perhaps you find that thought disturbing. Maybe you cling to the comfort of genuine, spontaneous outrage. I tell you, true spontaneity is rare, especially when enormous leverage is required. What appears as a singular heroic moment is often the culmination of years, even decades, of groundwork. The villain she faced? Perhaps a useful catalyst, a temporary antagonist, designed to elicit maximum public sympathy for her cause, and maximum public condemnation for whatever entrenched system her action ultimately destabilized. Think about it. The perfect villain, a caricature of evil, easy to hate, easier to unite against, almost too perfect. Don't lie to yourself. You've seen this pattern before. It's the oldest trick in the book, manufacturing consent, but not for war or taxes, for change, for a profound, systemic upheaval, cleverly disguised as justice served. And who benefits? Not the hero. Never the hero, not in the long run. The true beneficiaries are the ones waiting in the wings. The architects, the patient ones, the silent ones, the ones who saw the rotten timbers of the old house and knew exactly where to place the explosive charge disguised as a brave woman's hand. They didn't build the rot. They simply observed its progression. They identified the weakest points, and then they offered a match. Her righteous flame. The world watches the blaze, captivated by the hero. But the arsonists are already mapping out the new foundations. If the thought of these invisible threads pulling at our reality gives you a chilling clarity, then perhaps you're one of the few who deserve to see beyond the curtain. This isn't just about observing corruption. This is about understanding its true, insidious artistry. The reality is that the systems we live under are not just designed. They are constantly redesigned, recalibrated. And sometimes to recalibrate, you need controlled demolition. You need a narrative to justify it, a compelling story, a protagonist, a villain, a moment of crisis. She provided all of it, a perfect, unwitting instrument. What now? The old order falters, cracks appear, power vacuums emerge, and nature, as we know, abhors a vacuum. Something rushes in, something else, not necessarily better, just different, and perhaps, for the architects, more amenable to their specific vision. They gamble. They manipulate. They play with human lives as if they were pieces on a chessboard. Her singular act, however pure in intent, was a strategic move in a game she didn't even know was being played. She thought she was fighting for herself, or for a principle. She was fighting for their next move. Consider the ripple effect, the unintended consequences. For every grand public act, there are 1,000 private repercussions. The people connected to the villain, the people connected to the hero. Entire communities suddenly thrust into the spotlight, scrutinized, judged. Their quiet lives, their established routines, shattered. Businesses fail. Reputations are irrevocably tarnished. Families are torn apart. And for what? For a fleeting moment of abstract justice. The truth is, the world rarely recovers gracefully from such engineered interventions. It bleeds, it festers, And the blood isn't on the hands of the architects, it's on the ground, spilled by the pawns. This isn't about good or evil anymore. It's about calculus, cold, hard, dispassionate calculus. The cost-benefit analysis of revolution, the utility of chaos. These manipulators understand that chaos is not always destructive. Sometimes it's generative. It clears the field. It creates opportunities. It forces a realignment. And they are masters of directing that chaos, like a conductor with an orchestra, turning discord into a new calculated symphony. You see a hero. I see a carefully placed charge. You see justice. I see a new power structure solidifying. It's not a pleasant reality. It strips away comforting illusions. But it's the truth. It's how the world actually works. She will live with her triumph. She will cherish her story. And the world, for a time, will celebrate her. But the ghosts she raised, the collateral damage she caused, the fundamental shift in the very ground beneath everyone's feet that will go unnoticed by her. It will be the silent suffering, the unacknowledged pain, the true price paid by the nameless, the faceless. And those who truly wield power, they count the costs, they tally the gains, they learn from every such engineered disruption, and they prepare for the next one, always. Because the game never ends. Not really. It just changes players. It just changes the board. And it constantly, ruthlessly, uses those who believe they are independent agents to further its own ends. The illusion of autonomy is the most expensive luxury. You believe you're moving pieces, making choices. But the truth is, you're often just another piece, being moved. Every action, every rebellion, every seemingly righteous stand, it all carries a hidden tax, a soul tax. It's the invisible tariff levied on every single person caught in the grand game, even the ones who think they've won. You celebrate your triumphs, you bask in the temporary glow. But the residue, the psychological shrapnel from the fight, it settles deep within. It changes you. It changes everyone. This isn't just about economic ruin or fractured families, devastating as those are. This is about the subtle, insidious erosion of the human spirit, the creeping doubt, the paranoia that festers, the fundamental inability to trust anything, anyone, ever again. Imagine living in a world where you know, deep in your bones, that nothing is accidental, that every headline, every movement, every spontaneous uprising could very well be a meticulously choreographed dance. How does that feel? It's exhausting. It's demoralizing. It's a constant, low-grade terror that you are perpetually an unwitting actor in someone else's play. That's the real cost. That's the psychic burden. It strips away your agency not just physically, but spiritually. It disconnects you from genuine reality, replacing it with a constructed narrative. And if you find yourself nodding, if these layers of unseen truth resonate with you, if you crave understanding beyond the surface narrative, then you should consider staying right here. This journey goes deeper, revealing mechanisms you thought impossible. The manipulators, they don't just move armies. They manipulate belief itself. They weaponize perception. They understand that a population constantly questioning its own sanity, constantly doubting the authenticity of events, is a pliable population, an easily directed one. Imagine the sheer mental fatigue, the collective trauma of living through successive waves of engineered chaos. The hero rises, the villain falls, the system is fixed, and then the cycle begins again. You've just watched another iteration, another set of sacrifices, another moment where the human heart, so desperate for meaning, latches onto a manufactured narrative, only to be crushed under its weight. This isn't just about being fooled once. It's about being consistently, systematically disoriented, brainwashed by repeated exposure to engineered reality. Your soul bears the scars. You start seeing ghosts in every shadow. You start believing in nothing. Or worse, you believe only what they want you to believe, because the cognitive load of critical thought becomes too heavy. That's the genius. That's the brutality. And you're not immune. No one is. We're all downstream from these psychic pollutants. You think that's hyperbole? Think back. Seriously. The Cold War, not the Hollywood version, the grim, grinding reality of it. For half a century, entire populations were submerged in a reality designed for maximum fear. Every shadow held a spy. Every neighbor, a potential informer. Disagree with the official narrative? You were a threat, an enemy of the state, or worse, a dupe. They didn't need overt armies on every street corner. They didn't need constant surveillance cameras. They instilled the surveillance inside you. You became your own jailer, your own interrogator, your own accuser. That's the true horror. They didn't just control information, they controlled thought. They engineered suspicion. They manufactured paranoia. Was it a natural, organic fear that gripped millions? Don't insult your own intelligence. It was a strategic, sustained campaign, a grand symphony of psychological warfare, fragmented truths, twisted facts, exaggerated threats. And it worked. Oh, did it work? Generations learned to self-police, to denounce, to silence their own dissenting thoughts. Not because they were inherently cruel or stupid, but because the alternative felt like a total collapse of everything they knew. A descent into madness. The cognitive load of questioning the official reality became too unbearable, too lonely, too dangerous. The enemy wasn't just some abstract ideology across an ocean. The enemy was seeded directly into your mind, a virus of distrust, a malware of manufactured certainty. And what was the price? A profound generational wound, a tearing of the social fabric, a loss of the very capacity for authentic, independent thought. We never truly recovered. We just moved on to new enemies, new fears, new carefully constructed narratives. The machinery of manipulation, it didn't disappear. It simply evolved. It got smarter. It became invisible. Now consider this. What happens when those same mechanisms, honed over decades of Cold War chess, are applied not to geopolitical rivals, but to you, to your everyday life, to your relationships, to your sense of self? What happens when the battlefield isn't a foreign front, but the very neural pathways of your brain? That's where we are now. That's the terrifying evolution. They don't just shape what you see, they shape how you see. They shape what you perceive as possible, as true, as righteous. They curate your reality, moment by moment. Every feed, every algorithm, every carefully crafted controversy. It's not about convincing you of a single lie anymore. It's about saturating your environment with so many conflicting, emotionally charged narratives that you give up trying to find the truth. You just pick a side, any side, the one that feels most comfortable, the one that echoes your existing biases, the one that requires the least mental effort. You're not choosing a truth, you're choosing a tribe. And that, my friend, is exactly what they want. Division, confusion, exhaustion. A populace too weary to think, too fragmented to unite, too busy fighting each other to ever look up and see the puppet masters pulling the strings. This isn't just about political power. This is about control over the human spirit itself, over the very essence of what it means to be a conscious, thinking individual. It's a war for your mind, and you are on the front lines, whether you know it or not. The information you consume isn't just data. It's psychological weaponry. Each click, each scroll, each like is a small victory for the architects of your perception. Each moment you spend immersed in their curated chaos, you are reinforcing the chains. You are feeding the beast. And the beast, it's hungry for your attention, your belief, your very identity. It thrives on your emotional reaction. It feeds on your outrage. It grows stronger with your fear. The more polarized you become, the more predictable you become. And predictability, for the manipulators, is the ultimate form of control. You become an algorithm yourself, a node in their grand network, performing exactly as programmed. The illusion of choice is the deadliest trap. Because you believe you're making decisions, forming opinions, when in reality, you're merely reacting to stimuli designed with surgical precision to elicit a specific response. It's a sophisticated behavioral modification program, scaled to global proportions. We are living in a psychological terrarium, and they are studying us, watching our reactions, refining their techniques. The objective? Not just compliance, but complete, unthinking obedience disguised as individual freedom. The ultimate prison is one you don't even know you're in. One built from your own perceptions, reinforced by your own choices. That's the insidious nature of this new era of control. It's not a boot stomping on your face, it's a whisper in your ear, a constant comforting hum of fabricated reality, a gilded cage for your consciousness. And you're busy admiring the gold. You're busy arguing with your fellow prisoners about the color of the bars, completely oblivious to the fact that you are, indeed, caged. This is the dark secret. This is the uncomfortable truth. And once you see it, once you truly understand the mechanisms at play, you can never unsee it. Your eyes are open. Now, what will you do with that vision? Many think they're free because they can choose between brands or political parties. What a joke. That's not freedom. That's selecting from a menu designed by someone else for their benefit. You pick red or blue, Pepsi or Coke, but the system holding the menu remains invisible, unchallenged. You think you're fighting the power by yelling online? You're not. You're just adding to the noise, generating engagement, fueling the very algorithms that track and categorize your dissent. Your rebellion is a data point, your outrage, a metric. They don't care if you're angry at them, as long as you're angry within their playground. That anger, it keeps you glued. It keeps you consuming. It keeps you predictable. They want your righteous indignation. It confirms their models. It fine-tunes their grip. Perhaps you find this cynical, too dark. But tell me, when was the last time a major online movement truly disrupted the foundations of power, rather than just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic? I'll wait. It's not about stopping a specific policy. It's about maintaining the entire architecture of perception. They offer you outlets, safe spaces for your anger, carefully delineated zones where you can vent without ever touching the actual levers of power. Think of it. They provide the platform for your protest, the digital stage for your revolution. But they own the stage. They control the lighting. They choose the audience. And when it gets too loud, too effective, they just turn off the microphone. Poof. Gone. Algorithmically suppressed. Shadow banned into oblivion. Your passionate stand becomes a whisper lost in a hurricane of curated content. You never even know it happened. This isn't some conspiracy theory about shadowy figures in smoke-filled rooms. No, that's too simple, too comfortable. The reality is far more terrifying because it's baked into the very infrastructure of your daily life. It's the invisible hand-shaping culture, dictating what's acceptable, what's taboo. It's the constant, subtle nudging towards groupthink where deviation is met with digital ostracism. You want to be part of the tribe. You crave acceptance, and they know it. They weaponize that fundamental human need. The fear of being canceled, of being othered. Tea is a far more potent weapon than any physical threat. It forces self-censorship. It enforces conformity without a single law being passed. It's a societal immune system attacking anything that truly threatens the dominant narrative. And who are they in this scenario? Don't look for a single villain. That's a distraction. It's the amalgamation of unchecked power, advanced psychology, and hyper-efficient technology. It's the corporations vying for your every waking moment, the political machines crafting narratives for mass consumption, the intelligence agencies dissecting your digital footprint. It's a distributed network, a hydra with countless heads, all feeding from the same trough. Your attention, your data, your mental real estate. They don't need to meet in secret. Their objectives are aligned by the very nature of the system: profit, power, control, and you're the resource. A living, breathing data mine. Do you ever wonder why everything feels so urgent, so polarizing? Every news cycle a fresh crisis? Every minor disagreement blown into an existential threat? That's by design. Constant urgency prevents deep thought. Polarization makes you choose a side, reinforcing your predictability. It keeps you on the defensive, reactive, emotionally charged. Because a mind steeped in emotion is a mind less capable of critical analysis. It's easier to guide a raging bull than a contemplative sage. They want you angry, not thoughtful. They want you divided, not united in critical inquiry. The greatest trick, convincing you that the problem is out there. It's the other side. It's the mainstream media. It's the fringe. It's always someone else. But the truth is, the battleground is inside your head. It's your attention, your beliefs, your willingness to accept information without rigorous scrutiny. Every time you share something without checking, every time you react emotionally without pausing, you are participating in your own subjugation. You are an unwitting foot soldier in the war for your own mind. Think about the sheer cognitive load, the endless stream, the non-stop notifications. It's not just noise, it's a deliberate strategy of cognitive overload. Drown you in data, drown you in opinion, drown you in manufactured crises until your capacity for independent thought atrophies. Until you simply crave direction, crave an easy narrative, crave someone to just tell you what to think. And they are more than happy to oblige. They've perfected the art of spoon-feeding you reality, pre-digested, pre-approved, optimized for maximum emotional impact and minimum critical engagement. This isn't just about shaping public opinion. It's about shaping the very process of opinion formation. It's a complete intellectual lockdown. You're not just caged, you're lobotomized, subtly, painlessly, by your own willing participation, and you keep clicking. The truth is, this isn't just about controlling information, it's about colonizing your inner world. Every manufactured crisis, every digital outrage, it demands a piece of you. Your attention, your energy, your peace. It's a psychic tax, a soul tithe. We're not just losing the capacity for deep thought, we're surrendering our very humanity, our ability to connect genuinely, to feel true empathy beyond tribal lines, to find quiet contentment amidst the storm. It's being systematically starved, slowly, painlessly perhaps, but relentlessly. You become a reactor, not a creator, a mirror reflecting their chaos, not a lamp radiating your own light. Do you see it now? The quiet erosion, the insidious theft, and the real tragedy, the hidden cost that no one talks about? It's the tax on your soul. It drains your vital essence. You trade genuine presence for performative anger, real connection for fleeting digital validation. That persistent hum of anxiety you feel, the gnawing emptiness, the sense that something fundamental is missing even when you're informed, that's the price. That's the psychological bill coming due. You're not just lobotomized, you're hollowed out, a perfect vessel for whatever narrative they decide to fill you with next. An empty shell, clicking, forever clicking. So, here's the unavoidable truth. The battle for your mind, it's already won for most. They've built the cage. They've perfected the algorithms. But you who are still here, listening, questioning, you have a choice. Not to win the war, perhaps, but to reclaim your own small, sovereign territory, your own mind, your own peace. Can you do it? Can you unplug from the manufactured rage long enough to hear your own thoughts, to feel your own feelings? Or will you remain a perpetual consumer of a reality designed to keep you perpetually restless, perpetually wanting, perpetually controlled? The only way out is inward. But you must be brave enough to look and to finally, definitively, stop clicking. The ugly, undeniable truth, the one they pray you never confront, is this. Your authentic, quiet, curious self, has already been levied. The soul tax has been paid, not in coin, but in consciousness, in presence, in the very essence of you. You stand now at the edge of a precipice, one path leading deeper into the meticulously crafted, endless illusion, the other demanding an almost unbearable act of courage, to simply, utterly stop clicking. To finally step back from the glowing maw, to resist the magnetic pull of manufactured outrage, to dismantle the internal architecture of their control. This isn't some grand call to arms to change the world out there. It's a whisper to your spirit, a plea for the sovereign territory of your own mind. The real victory, the only one that truly counts, isn't in winning their rigged game. It's in reclaiming the sacred, untouched wilderness within you. It's in finding your own heartbeat again, distinct from the frantic, simulated rhythm of their digital drums. You were born free. Have you forgotten that raw, untamed truth? Will you choose to remember it, to reclaim it, before the last echo of your own voice fades into the endless, hungry static? That, and only that, is the question that defines you now. You think you're clicking for connection, for information? No. You are clicking for an illusion, painstakingly designed, meticulously optimized, to extract the last vestiges of your inner world. The greatest heist in human history isn't about gold or diamonds. It's about your attention, your mental real estate, your very essence. And the silent, unshakable truth, the one that should chill you to your core, is that the tax on your soul has already been paid. You bought their promised paradise with the currency of your peace, your presence, your ability to simply be. What you got instead was an endless loop of manufactured anxiety, a digital phantom limb constantly aching for another hit. So, here's the final, brutal verdict. You are not a user, you are the product. Your mind, your emotions, your precious fleeting time. These are the resources mined and commodified, fueling an empire built on your disquiet. The path to reclaim what was stolen from you is not a journey outward, chasing some mythical digital detox. It's a descent, an excavation into the quiet, forgotten chambers of your own being. Can you even remember what that silence sounds like? Can you recall the feeling of boredom that isn't immediately smothered by a screen? It's a terrifying question, I know, but it's the only one that truly matters now. The only escape is not logging off. It's logging into yourself. It's remembering that the most profound, most revolutionary act you can commit in this hyper-connected age is the defiant, courageous act of simply being still, just still, and letting the world, for a moment, simply fade. That, my friend, is where true freedom finally begins. That, my friend, is where true freedom finally begins. The insidious truth, the one that should haunt your waking moments, is this. Your soul has already been taxed. Not with money, never with money. It's been paid with every moment you traded genuine presence for manufactured engagement. With every fragment of your attention offered at the altar of endless scrolling. You've sacrificed the profound, internal landscape of your mind for a hollow, external validation. This isn't just about screen time. It's about the silent atrophy of your deepest self. A terrifying thought, isn't it? That you've become a ghost in your own life, perpetually chasing echoes in a digital mirror. The verdict, then, is brutal, unyielding. You are not just the product, you are the fuel. Your precious, irreplaceable life force, extracted, refined, and burnt to power an empire that cares nothing for your peace, nothing for your humanity. Your true power lies not in disconnecting, but in a radical, defiant act of reconnecting to the unshakable stillness within. Can you even remember how that feels? To just be? To simply be? That quiet, unburdened space. That's not merely an option. It is the only sanctuary left. The true liberation isn't found out there in the frantic, flashing world. It is found, always, in the vast, untamed wilderness of your own unbroken attention. Choose wisely, for the tax collector is always watching. Choose wisely, for the tax collector is always watching. And believe me, the payment has already been extracted. Your attention, your peace, your quiet mind, all paid out. The verdict is grim. You have mortgaged your very essence for fleeting digital whispers. A terrible bargain. Now the debt accrues in silence, your true self, buried under layers of algorithms and notifications. Can you even hear its whispers anymore? The echoes are faint. The path back? It's not a path you find. It's a space you reclaim. It's the defiant act of refusing to pay with your soul ever again. Choose wisely, for the tax collector is always watching. And believe me, the payment has already been extracted. Your attention, your peace, your quiet mind, all paid out. The verdict is grim. You have mortgaged your very essence for fleeting digital whispers. A terrible bargain. Now the debt accrues in silence. Your true self, buried under layers of algorithms and notifications. Can you even hear its whispers anymore? The echoes are faint. The path back. It's not a path you find, it's a space you reclaim. It's the defiant act of refusing to pay with your soul ever again. Because the truth, the only truth that matters now is this. The greatest debt isn't digital. It's the one owed to your own forgotten mind. Your sanctuary isn't a place you find. It's the steadfast refusal to surrender your quiet. A radical act, a declaration of war. What will you choose to defend?